Hi, friends, and welcome to Talking with Famous People. I'm your sick host Eric, and it has been a challenging couple of days, really, in a lot of ways. But I'm up here at UC Berkeley and having a good time. My kid debated 2 rounds so far. He's won both his first 2 rounds in JV Lincoln Douglas. Uh, and I'm here in the hotel room. Rachel's in the bathroom at the moment. We're having a good old time. Hi, Bacon. On the way back from Hawaii, or shortly after return from Hawaii, I got sick. And of course, I had to go to Berkeley on Friday, the first full day of sickness. And that was not too bad, really. The drive went by pretty quickly because we just were enjoying listening to music and so forth. Then I had ensuing challenges once I got here as well. Like, I discovered this unusual and I don't know, like, well, what could that possibly be kind of charge on my account? It turned out it was dollar renter card charging me for some bullshit that I don't know, who knows what. I had to call the bank. I missed a round I was supposed to judge today because for some reason the tab room didn't send me notifications, all that kind of shit. It's been that kind of day. When we were at the Foster's Freeze up the street there getting a milkshake, there was this guy who was hanging around, and the proprietor wanted to leave, and he didn't leave, and I had to say something, And it was like it's that sort of situation where I really want to step up and say something because it's like this person's down on their luck to begin with. I don't want to make life even more challenging for them, but at the same time, a certain amount of respect is required for a proprietor or establishment, So I don't know. There's no spoon. It's too late. I can't stay with you. Okay, well, goodbye. There's no spoon. Thanks, Jeebus. That's why I put them on. They match my complexion. You can probably hear the sickness in my head. This is the hotel room that we're in. It's a Holiday Inn Express. It's pretty nice. I'm thinking about going over here to the bathroom for a second. Not to the bathroom. To the kitchen. To the kitchen for a second. Sorry. Sorry, we're trying to scare you there, Rachel. And start a cup of coffee. All right. No, I should have done this before I started streaming, so I'm going to cook myself a cup of coffee now. It does come with this convenient Keurig machine and K-cups, which are always nice. Where am I super cheap? I'm in University of California, Berkeley. I'm at a Holiday Inn Express in Berkeley for a tournament that I've gone to many times in my life. I competed in this tournament way back in high school. That's how old this tournament is. I've been here forever. It's like this tournament has a big place in my SI. Like I said, I competed here. This is one of the travel tournaments we went to every year with my debate team in high school, and we stayed in the hotel. It was always very exciting and stuff, And I've taken multiple teams here as a coach as well. So I've got a lot of memories in that regard. I recognize people here, when I go around because of my years in the field. I saw a former debater of mine, Eric Gow. He's a junior in high school now, and he's debating in policy here at Berkeley. Ran into him. I've seen former assistant coaches. Like, I've got kind of a big, coaching great-great-grandfather and stuff in a couple of situations, like, how did you do when you were there? Do you remember? I Don't remember. To be honest, I just don't remember. I suspect I did pretty well. Me and my partner did well in general. Most tournaments we went to. We didn't necessarily win the thing, but we'd break. We could make it to semis, or sometimes we'd win, sometimes we'd make it to finals. We were good. But I don't remember what we did in Berkeley. Berkeley is, in fact, a major and has always been. Back before debate really even had that kind of understanding of itself. Tournament of Champions changed debate substantially. Tournament of Champions was an additional nationals that some debate coaches started in Kentucky. It's held each year. And unlike nationals, whether or not you get to compete at nationals in the high school debate depends on how you do at the national qualifiers that are held by your leagues. And nationals has got various leagues all around, and the best people from each of those leagues goes to nationals. Thanks, Moose Balls. But in TOC, you have to do well at certain bid tournaments. And Berkeley is a tournament that has bids, which means if you do well in this tournament in the open division, you'll get a bid to TOC. So this has a lot of bids on the line. It's got bids in policy, bids in LD, bids in PF. It's got bids in all the debate formats. And some tournaments they'll only have like one bid in policy only. But to have a bid in a tournament means you have to run that division super professional. Like you can't. All the judges have to have paradigms. You have to have serious judges. You can't have any bullshit judges, or else TOC will yank your bids. So anyway, Berkeley has among the most bids of any tournament in the country. It's like Berkeley and Green Hill. Did you ever coach someone with anxiety such that they did great in prep but bombed when it mattered? No. I've had kids bomb important round out of nowhere for God knows what reason. Probably because they were hungry. Like Jackson, I had this team, Jackson Alex. They were super ultra prepped. And for some reason, ran into this kind of scrubby team. Like Jackson, I had this team, Jackson Alex. They were super ultra prepped. And for some reason, ran into this kind of scrubby team, includes they were hungry. So they hadn't eaten. So, but no, if you do well in prep, you'll do fine in the tournament too, because it's not so much a speaking event as it is an arguing event. And if you win the arguments, then you win the debate round. So today they have 3 rounds of JBLD. And they're really spread out through the day. The first one was at 7:45 this morning. The second round was at 1 p.m. And the third round is at 8:30 p.m. Because that's what happens when you run a 3-day tournament like this. It's got a lot of bids and shit. They've got a lot of rounds and different events to get done, and So anyway. Off topic, I got YT music for offline listening. I found several of your songs listed there. Oh, that's great news, Salem Black. Thank you for sharing that news with me. It makes me very happy to hear. Right now I'm mostly just feeling under the weather and a little bit like pouty maybe slash like life is hard a little bit, but I'm pleased with my kids' success so far. He's won the first 2 rounds. I think there's 6 prelims. If he were to win 5 of 6 or 4 of 6, probably 5 of 6, he'd probably break. He'd probably break the 5 of 6s. 5 ones and 6 O's. So obviously it's better to win your first 2 rounds than to lose them. But the thing about winning in debate tournaments is you get increasingly difficult competition because it's power matched. It's a 3-day tournament: Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Saturday and Sunday are basically prelims days, and Mondays are out rounds, or playoffs, so to speak. So, like, he's gone. Yeah, same with Palsy. It's really hot, though. Be careful.
Okay, thank you.
Same with Palsy. Whereas in public forum, it's a coin flip each time usually, and they can choose either to go the side or to go second, because going second is considered an advantage. So the thing is, live stream is a bit of a pout antidote for me, as is debate, because when we go to a debate tournament like this, I've got my 8th grader in high school junior varsity, because I tried to get him in high school open, which would just been like the toughest kids in the country, right? But JV's still plenty of challenge for him, and he's won his first 2 rounds. And I want him to do well, and the reason is because I really would like. It would mean a lot to me actually this year if I could get this kid to be state champion in middle school. It's not easy to do, obviously, but I've had a state champion before, and I've had national champions before, so I could do it again. And working with these clients, they bring out the best of me coaching wise, because like they're high achievers. They play for the LA Philharmonic, and they're smart. They get the difference between quality and not quality, and so they appreciate me. I appreciate them too.
Thank you, New Zealand Black. Very nice of you.
I've been super emo today. Maybe because I'm sick, partially. You know how SI and FI get mushed in together for me. Rachel asked me earlier what the most emo song for me was. After a little bit of thinking, I came up with a clear answer about it, which was it's "Somebody Stop This Train" by John Mayer. And it wasn't Dr. Is textbook fucking just SI ontological terror. Crawling in your skin?
Crawling in my skin.
Is that your most emotional song?
Hey, it can be. These words, they will not heal.
Yeah, what's a really emo song for you? That's the question I'm asking each of the live chatters here today. Mine, then your one most emo song. Mine, I came up with a clear answer on.
It's good.
Somebody Stop This Train by John Mayer.
It paints such a picture. It really does. I like it a lot.
It always makes me cry. So if you have a single clear answer to that question, I would love to hear what everybody's most emo song is. And what I mean by most emo is a song that makes you most emotional.
Zealand Black, that's a good song.
Let me get a blow my nose.
That gives me a lot of nostalgia, that song. Actually, Third Eye Blind is a San Francisco band. We are near, as I have learned.
How could a debate ever be judged objectively? Just by doing it right. If you do it right, it's really cut and dry, unless it's a sloppy round. It's almost always definitive, because look, when somebody takes the action in language of establishing a given position on the flow and warranting it with a reason and impacting it, and then the opponent doesn't say anything about it or says something that makes no sense, and the first person extends it and says, look, I said this, they ignored it, blah, 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 these are the impacts, then that's standing on the flow. It's objectively so. And so you can measure the various argument chains out and see which person won any given chain. Some chains will be a wash depending on the argumentation. And, it's not always the case that it's clear cut, but in almost every round that's well debated, it is.
I don't know, Nirvana, Something in the Way. Like,
the thing about a debate being judged objectively, remember, you're not judging who's right, you're judging who won the debate. And assuming it doesn't matter who's right at all. it's a chess match, a language chess match. So something I'm doing in this, what my kid's doing in this tournament is a very smart app that got him undefeated second place on speaker points at the last tournament he competed in, the Marlboro tournament. And that was a tough, really tough middle school tournament against all these Marlboro girls, because there's a school called Marlboro School for Girls in Los Angeles. It's got the 6th highest test scores in the nation, and it's basically like movie stars kids. And they had a tournament, and all their girls were badass. I was impressed. They got a really good coach. He was really smart, but my kid it went Marlboro first place, my kid, both of them were undefeated. Marlboro, everybody else. So, felt pretty good. No doubt who else stood up to the Marlboro kid. Me. Our case was great. And the cool thing was, one of the kids my kid beat was a Harker girl who went 3-1. He was the only round she lost, and she just had no idea what to do with our half. It was the most amazing thing to see. He just destroyed her in cross. It was hilarious. I like that shit, but you kind of got to be bipolar to like that. But I
no, it's debate is so interesting. I feel like you really taught me well. I like it.
It's fun, huh?
Yeah. I think it's important to see two sides of the subject anyway. So debate just takes it up a notch.
Yeah. I mean, what debate does is it makes you aware of how each of the arguments for every side of a given topic play out. Whether or not you want to agree with the arguments or not, or whatever, it's up to you. But they do play out a certain way, and there are certain arguments that are clearly superior, have a flatter or a downhill rhetorical slope as opposed to those that have an upward rhetorical slope.
Yeah, but I think the best ones are probably so neutral,
Well, it's like on this nuclear weapons topic, right? The topic says states ought to eliminate the nuclear weapons. So most AFs are impacting the actual elimination of nuclear weapons. But I made the obvious observation that there's no way to actually eliminate them all. We have a chemical weapons ban and a biological weapons ban, and yet some countries still retain some of those.
Yeah, they do.
So in this fashion, have I stolen all the naked ground? And nobody knows what to do with my ass. I've got an actual agent that can be at the UN, whereas if you interpret it any other way, you're interpreting it less well than I'm interpreting it is the problem. And it's kind of surprising that with all these brilliant debate coaches, it still appears to be that I'm the only one who's interpreted it correctly. So I love it when that happens. It's like I've outsmarted all these really smart people. That's like the favorite thing in my life that I could possibly do. But I don't expect my kid to win JP at Berkeley. That would be quite an accomplishment. So it's like, also our neg is pretty straightforward. It's pretty standard neg. So he's got a boxer's chance or a fighter's chance or even a puncher's chance or whatever you want to say on neg, but he's got a distinct schematic advantage on AF. So, and he won his first neg round, he won his last round, which was AF, and next he goes neg again, probably. Eric, you called XNFJs and XNTPs meta-analysts. What are the other ones? Those are the only meta-analysts. I mean, what are the other categories of thing? There's the analysts. That's physical, metaphysical. That's like ESTP. I think I may get the names mixed up sometimes, but it would be ESTP, ISFJ, INFP, and ENTJ. Those are the analysts. Because they start with physical and then they have metaphysical. Those that start with metaphysical and then have physical I don't know. I forget if I call those the analysts or the other one. Anyway, the next one are ENFP, INTJ, ESFJ, and ISTP. Yeah. Those ones go metaphysical, then physical. And then physical are ISFP, ESFP, ESTJ, and ISTJ. Those four are physical. Yeah.
Thank you, Jeebus. I've done my eyes like this before. It's been a while, but ever since Naruto and that one character, what's his name?
Well, I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Sai? Is Sai the one that they...
Yeah, with the use of the beta quadrant eyes, like he's.
Oh, Yamato.
Yeah. So like every time I do them like
You do
this
look
now,
like Yamato.
right?
That's true.
When you told me that, I was like, I wanted to say to you, like, I do my eyes like that sometimes, like with the rim of black.
Would you consider writing a Google document for those categories? Yeah, I would. I want to do that for sure.
That's a great idea.
I made a video just sort of. I should talk about it more and everything, and I'd like to sort of. I mean, I really am intending to and want to and plan to and hopefully will end up making more straight ahead cognitive function content it's NI focused, NIFE focused somewhat, not just TI, and do a better job. But I have to finish up this weekend, and then probably I'll have a bit of a sleepy week next week with Rachel gone. She's not leaving until Thursday morning early, actually Wednesday night really, but it's really cool that I've been able to have an extra however many days this is with her, because since you got off the plane from New York and Los Angeles, how many total seconds of Discord do you think we've experienced?
Oh, Discord?
15 seconds,
yeah,
maybe?
And we've even caught ourselves.
Right. It's like in Hawaii after the full day of the volcano, I got a little pissy for about 15, 30 seconds. She got a little pissy for about 15, 30 seconds.
We didn't attack each other. My dad did too, actually.
But we didn't attack each other at all. And that was it. That's the only conflict that we had.
Yeah, it was.
Literally, it's like, I've never been in such a incredibly easy and compatible relationship before. It's shocking.
Yeah, it is.
After a lifetime of wrong people, this truly is the golden pair.
Yeah.
Myers was right. It's weird.
Yeah, Myers was right in that. And then please understand me too. It's kind of one-sided. Please understand me too. You can tell it's written by an introvert.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, you're fine. And but in he does always look hot. In Please Understand Me Too, he specifically says ENFP, INTJ, ENTP, INFJ are the golden pairs. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we are, I think, actually kind of enjoying our weekend.
We are.
It's a work weekend for me, but it does afford me a lot of free time, actually, because the way it's so spread out.
Yeah.
And I only have to judge 4 total rounds. And I got my girl here, my girl Friday, as they call them.
I don't know that.
It's some like superhero had a partner named Girl Friday. I don't know. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Girl Friday?
I like it.
I'd have to Google it.
I like it. Dragnet.
Is it Dragnet? Let's see.
I used to watch Dragnet.
Girl Friday. A female helper, especially a junior office worker or personal assistant to a business executive.
Your dad did ask if I was your associate.
True. You're my girl Friday.
Yeah, I am. love retro stuff.
What have we been up to? Well, yesterday we drove up here from Los Angeles. That's a good 7 hours. We stopped at Harris Ranch and had a nice lunch. Overly expensive, fancy lunch.
It was so fun being there. There was a toilet for the little girls. Like, that's so fancy. I have never been to a place that fancy.
And they have really good steak there because it's like right next to where they grow all the cows. And so we actually split a ribeye steak, which was plenty. I don't think we even finished what we got. Even if
we didn't?
No, I don't think so. And we got a salad too.
Yeah, it's good.
And so that was nice. And then, one fun thing we did this morning is we went to the most, Rachel calls it Urban Outfitters. I'm going with Anthropology, GIE.
I agree with you. My first thought was Anthropology, and then in my head, I'm like, he doesn't know what Anthropology is, forgetting that we had a conversation.
Right, Zandy is why I know what Anthropology is.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. This stuff is called Cheer. This was holiday stocking stuffer that was on clearance now because it's a little after holidays. So good.
It really is.
Really good. But it's like $20 a gram. Anyway.
It's nice though. I felt like it was a little gift.
Yeah, we just got 1 gram of it.
That's nice.
Gee, look, Rachel, you got to fall back in case it doesn't work out.
What? Rachel, when you are done with Eric, get in touch with me, baby cakes.
Yeah, so, if you decide you get tired of me, you got Jeebus out there waiting, okay?
Well, I am glad to have a backup.
Yeah, it's always good to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
This stuff's really good. We also got this other stuff, which where's the
Seal and Black. It's like, okay, so say like you're in Urban Outfitters and you are standing in line and it has like they're selling their stuff for like, 10% off Christmas stuff. That's what they did with the weed.
This is the first weed store in California I've ever been to. That's just basically like an actual store. You just go around and they have all the product on the shelf.
Yeah.
And you pick up the thing off the shelf that you want and you carry it up to the cashier and you pay for it.
And all different kinds. Like there was this chick in line and she had like a crocheted like Afghan with these like cool boots. And all she bought were 3 packs of like weed gummies. And I was like, such a preference, Like it affords the people who like maybe don't really like to smoke it, but like maybe want a little buzz. Not everyone likes to have that weed like high.
Well, and how about the box at the end of towards the end of the line, stuff you might have been looking for but not been able to find. How thoughtful was that? It has a little like hash and other random shit you might have been looking for and not been able to find.
Well, you know what that is? It's the when you're standing online and you don't want to say because people overbuy stuff, right? So it's the stuff that you're standing there and you're like, should I really buy this?
And then you can put it in that box.
Boom!
But it doesn't say that on the box, so it's like everybody thinks, this is a good idea. That's
it's a great idea because like in there was such unique stuff. Right,
and it's like probably maybe the store put those things in there on purpose, but it wouldn't surprise me if additionally there's some other shit that people put back because they I can't really afford this one.
Oh yeah.
Would I recommend weed for all types? No. I mean, I'd recommend weed basically for anybody who's enthusiastic about alcohol and or drugs because it's the one sustainable drug that you can do for your whole life if you want to, and it's not going to get you in any trouble. It's not going to make you do poorly at work. It's not going to make you make poor decisions or crash your car.
Yeah.
It's like I smoke weed every day before I go into work. That's pretty much the last thing I do, unless I forgot to bring weed in the car with me, is right before I go in there with Jeffrey and his parents, I smoke a fat bowl of weed, But the thing is, it doesn't it doesn't negatively impact my performance at all. So, as to whereas just about any other drug, you're not going to be able to sustain regular usage of it over time, including alcohol. It's alcohol to me is the most dangerous drug, really.
Yeah, I agree. I've over time actually realized that. I mean, I think subconsciously I always knew, but as time went on, I saw the results over time of me, other people, and I was like, it just seems to cause so many problems.
Yeah. So, I feel like the slabs are always sort of managing me along. Like, okay, vacation's over now. Here's some fairly minor hardships that you can overcome. Like, oh, I missed that round. Well, I managed to get them to say, okay, don't worry about the fine thing. They were going to find me something. We're going to find Jeffrey's dad $75, right? So I got to solve that problem. Yeah, I'm either going to have to pay the fine myself or get it removed because it's for me missing a round. The fact is, I wasn't getting texts from Tab Room. I should have been getting texts from Tab Room, but I wasn't. And what we see here is I've been checking this here, but the Tab Room to see, but for some reason I wasn't getting any text from Tab Room. They're supposed to text me. So I'm just staying on top of it on my email now because I do have I am getting the emails. So that's the way I'm able to check it now. I don't use any drugs. 19 in a state where it's illegal, and have a dad who's a police officer, so it won't happen to me for me anytime soon. Well, look, it's not like there's any particular huge advantage to doing drugs. I find it advantageous to take the Adderall that I'm prescribed, and it's a prescribed drug. I find it advantageous to smoke a lot of weed, but that's also, it's, both of them are treating the same fundamental phenomenon, which is impatience with the pace of life, impatience with the amount of stimulation in the world, impatient with the, because if you're a metaphysician and the physical world moves so much more slowly than ideas do, I can imagine building a bridge a lot faster than I can actually build one. Eric, do you use illegal substances? No, I guess I don't. It depends on what state I'm in, I guess. Like when I was in Arizona, I guess the substances I used were illegal. I still smoke weed wherever I go, if I can. Sometimes it's illegal. I don't buy illegal street drugs. At least I haven't in a long time now. But the last illegal drugs I did was mushrooms, I guess. And before that, I did LSD. But it's been a while. If you're asking me if I'm going to go out and get an 8-ball blow or something, no, I'm too old for that shit. I used to do that a long time ago, but not anymore. I mean, I never was into blow. I never was into cocaine. I mean, I did it on, 10 occasions probably or something in my life. I don't know. I have a lack of ability to relax. If I had something safe that made me more relaxed socially, that would be good. Weed won't make you more relaxed socially. At least not at first. It'll make you more introverted, kind of, I guess. What is the status for the Berkeley debate? My kid is won his first 2 rounds. He's 2-0, so that's good. We'll see what happens in the 3rd round. What were mushrooms LSD like for you? Do you have any epiphanies? Not really. I'm not much of a believer in learning things from drugs. I don't think that people really learn things from drugs. I think that's just NFP bullshit. You know, people do drugs because they're fun. It's a good reason to do drugs. Other reasons are bad reasons to do drugs usually.
Yeah, I don't think about it. I learned to see. If there's anything that I learned is if I liked it or if I didn't like it.
Right. I like mushrooms. Mushrooms make me laugh. They make everything seem funny. So,
yeah, I have heard that people see like cartoons and things. Yeah, it's like I've heard good experiences and bad experiences, and that's why I personally stayed away from it. But yeah, my first time trying weed, it was a lot of fun, like you said.
love at first smoke.
Yeah.
I also really liked weed a lot the first time I smoked it. That it worked on me. I remember just going like, oh my God! What the fuck is this? Chase, but dude, it's only a strong psychedelic for you if you do it very infrequently. If you smoke it every day, it acts differently upon you. And I smoke it more than once every day for sure. In fact, talking about it this much really makes me want to go outside and smoke a bowl. Good evening, Raphael Breno. Good evening to you. Thank you. This is a hat my dad purchased for me in Hawaii. It says nothing. It says nothing on it. It says Hawaii on the back of it.
There's a hula girl, a wave, and a crab. And some beach.
Yeah.
And water there.
I left this sticker on here like the urban people.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love the sticker on it. It's like so appropriate.
Yeah, it makes it more hip hop that way.
It does.
I should have left the tags on it too.
I know.
It would have been fully hip hop. Why are you so hateful of ENTJs? I'm not hateful of ENTJs. When did I say hateful things about ENTJs? I like ENTJs too. I mean, nobody gets to really know ENTJs because they're always busy doing whatever it is they got going on. You know?
Yeah.
It's hard to get close to them.
I have a feeling that ESTPs get to see that side of ENTJs more often than most people.
Quite possibly. Can you hand me that coffee? Yeah, I do talk some sauce about the NFPs. You know, it's like I saw this. Yeah, you see these like old hippie guys here, right? Yeah. They're like me, except they never learned anything, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, you know.
It's a good way of
first of all,
it.
There's the problem with no third slot FB. I understand when it starts being ridiculous at a certain age to meow or meow. Mm-hmm. I may always be a kid, but I'm not an oblivious kid at 50 who's just like, oh, yeah. You're balding and you've got a fucking ponytail. Oh, my God. What? Just make true yourself, bro. Mm-hmm. No, NFPs, no. Stop being so gaff. Gaff is GAF, by the way.
What does that mean?
Something as fuck, you know. We don't want to be
gross.
No. What? It's the same word I say when lights persist to be way too long. Oh my God, this light is, you know.
I still don't know.
Well, I'll tell you later. Anyway. It's like, okay, you can basically understand the word. No, you can basically understand the word gaff as meaning a shirt that says vegan AF. Okay, that's gaff. It's just like no. That's so wrong in every sense of the word. It's like that doesn't do what you want it to do. It doesn't play how you want it to play. You're too old for that shit.
Yeah, it made me uncomfortable too, I have to say. But that's me.
Yeah, Zaylen Black's giving you The ideal clue there.
And
See,
what?
Jalen Black's clue.
Not straight, but
Yeah, that's what GAF meant. GAF. GAF. Like when an INFP wins an Oscar and tells everyone to become vegan instantly or they're a bad person.
yes.
Yes. Yes, Rachel. No joy. No joy. Exactly. You know, you're going to get, thank you for this award. You know, the corporations would just take their money out of politics. Shut up.
There are some times where I used to say that too. I definitely say that shit too.
Right. That's an example of gaffe. Okay.
Yeah, that is.
An INFP getting an award for something and getting up and talking about corporate money and politics is gaffe.
Oh my
okay?
God. Thank you.
That's the gaffest thing in the history of the world. It is more ENFP than INFP. True. Granted, conceded the point. I want to concede that point right now. The proper thing to say would be ENFP there, not really INFP.
It's true.
My mistake.
Yes. A good way to tell who is gaff at an award show is when Ricky Gervais says, don't talk about something political because you have no right to, because you're involved with political stuff. And then they get up there and talk exactly about the thing that he said. Those are gaffes.
I know Ricky joked around about not talking about this, but I'm really enjoying talking about it because I'm gaff. I'm an NFP, and I am gaff.
Who was that? Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams?
Uh-huh. And
I don't know who Michelle Williams is.
Heath Ledger's, exactly. Heath Ledger's like ex-wife.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do know who Heath Ledger is.
Yeah. He like had a child with Michelle Williams. She got up there and talked about political stuff with like mother's rights and stuff.
Gaff.
And so did Joaquin Phoenix.
Gaff.
Who was totally
Joaquin Phoenix cannot be any more gaff.
I know! That's what I'm talking about.
What does gaff mean? It means Joaquin Phoenix.
Yep. So.
Anyway, I gotta go smoke a cigarette. Can you hold the record for a minute, Rachel?
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Gosh, as fuck. Closest G I got. Closet G I got. Yeah. If I say random words, does it indicate TI? Because I heard from an ENTP that all he does is use words very randomly and indeterminately, so it is very difficult to determine what word he will use. Turtle. I don't know about that, David Sanderson. I would know better. What did he do? He talked, so Ricky Gervais, he was the like show host for the Golden Globes this year. And yeah, so he told the celebrities, like, don't come up here and start any political stuff because we all know that, like, you work alongside a lot of these corporations that are kind of troublemakers in our society. And you could tell who the ENFP and INFPs were in the audience because despite him saying, like, you know, you just, you know, like, shut up and just accept the award and be happy with it. Thank your managers. Don't get political. They did. Michelle Williams talked about, like, women's rights, and Joaquin Phoenix got political on stage because they just couldn't help themselves. I believe Ricky Gervais is an ENTP. He has been typed as that. He's a very dry, humored ENTP. I don't know if he's INTP. Phoenix is an ENFP. He's that whole movie that he did, like I Was Here or something, where he was like, his hair was all crazy and he had sunglasses on and people thought that he was going nuts. It was all a facade. It was just for show. It was like a shock kind of movie. He's an ENFP. Differences between ISFP and ESFP. So Eric really knows better with the cognitive functions. From what I know, they can look very similar. ISFPs like to focus on the arts, and it's more of crafting an art. So ESFP, there's a lot of, like my roommate was a dancer, but she did it for like athleticism. She was a cheerleader. She was on the dance team. And she went to like a lot of competitions and stuff. She was high energy, but not necessarily like refined in her physicality, where ISFPs have this like refined way. So say if an ISFP is a dancer, they're probably going to be more like tap dancers or like ballet dancers or jazz. That's more technical, so they can become like perfectionists at it, where ESFPs just like love to move. They have great agility, and they have really good rhythm too. So they're more like extroverted, and like ISFPs are more refined. That's one way of telling the difference between them. It seems like such a strange place to get political. It is a weird place to get political. I mean, they do though. They're actors and shouldn't be taken seriously. And here, I believe you like are right. I'm right with you. You know, they're just actors, but in the United States, a lot of people look up to them. Even if word salad is pretty poor. ENFPs are really good with emotional speeches. Like if you think about Robin Williams in his movies, he's most effective in his movies when he's making an emotional speech, because he can get you to cry or to get you to feel like impassioned. But that doesn't translate well with like interviews and stuff. Who would an INFP then, just as an example? INFP, a lot of people say that William Shakespeare is an INFP. I think he is too. He was very romantic, and there was all these romantic, tragic things that he writes about, but he would never actually say those things aloud. Like, he's so introverted that he had plays and people who read poetry to express those feelings inside of himself. I think William Shakespeare's an INFP. INFPs believe in ghosts and aliens. I think a lot of people believe in ghosts and aliens, regardless of type. Here's one now.
I believe in aliens, probably.
Yeah.
It seemed a more reasonable explanation for certain things than any other, although it doesn't really meet its burden to affirm. But
true.
If I have to pick an affirmation for certain explanations of certain things, aliens seem as good as others. Certain others. But what are my tips for getting into Berkeley as a student? I have no idea. As a debater, register early. We registered, we thought early, and we still didn't get into open. We had to quit them in JV. I think statistically, it's likely that aliens exist, just don't know what scale. Well, the thing is, statistically, it's likely they don't exist, because if they did, they'd likely be fairly abundant. Although there's been a recent sort of proof to the contrary of that. This suggests that the notion that if aliens existed, they'd be all over the place is actually false. That if you look at the percentage of sort of life-supporting environments, they're rare enough that even if there were to be life elsewhere in the universe, it would be fairly infrequent. But those sort of things are estimations assuming no grand agency, right? Like when we calculate whether or not aliens are likely to exist, we can calculate it according to a couple of different metrics. You could say, well, we know what life looks like here and what the conditions are for life to survive, and let's see if we can find the same conditions on other planets and assume that life would generate there as well. That's one way to approach it. But if you approach it from an angle like a creationist angle or something, then there's not necessarily any reason to assume that aliens exist. Now, I'm not saying there's any reason for a creationist angle necessarily, but we don't have a question. We don't have answers to the underlying questions that would really provide us the right frame for that question about whether or not aliens exist. Because it's really a matter of which framing is correct rather than what the actuality is, so to speak. Well, it's true that people who believe they've had alien contact, I'm not necessarily saying I believe in alien contact with human beings. I don't think there's any particular reason to think that's likely, but probably an ENTJ bacon. ESTJs, I don't think, tend to be conspiracy nuts. They tend to be they're physical. They assume everything is just sort of a particular instance in a particular frame. So, but NI gone amok is where you get your conspiracy theorists. NI DOMs, NI tool users. That's why in the Assholes Guide to 16 Personality Types, I call NI DOMs nut jobs.
No, it's okay. I was thinking actually, like, I got out of the shower yesterday and I had it only on like the lower light and it came out and you couldn't really see my eyes. I looked ghostly. It was scary as shit. Yeah.
T is more flexible than TI and therefore it is better. I see. So then we should make our suspension bridges out of spaghetti, since flexibility is the ultimate arbiter of good. You be the first to drive over it, please, David Sanderson. It's a very flexible bridge. I'm sure it'll be fantastic for you in your car. Flexibility is not the ultimate arbiter of whether or not something is good. You could, in fact, if you were a TI user, David Sanderson, I mean, you could regardless, but you'd be more likely to if you're a TI user. Point out that I'm using an equivocation fallacy there, that I'm using a different meaning of the word flexible. That'd be a good counter argument to my analogy there. But it is nevertheless true that flexibility is not the ultimate arbiter of a thing's value, and TI is extremely more flexible than TE within its frame. So it's true that TE, it doesn't have a universalist frame, so it can figure out any number of different independent problems. Like it can figure out how to fix a fridge, it can figure out how to solve crime, it can, there's lots of different kinds of things it can do. But what it can't do is probably win this argument. Yeah, I've seen the original Blade Runner. Great movie. Fantastic movie. Yeah, I saw it way back when it was in the theaters. I saw it with my dad, and I've seen it on videotape and stuff a few times since. Excellent film. Sticks with you. When I remember, when you mention it, I have those scenes come into my head. He seems like he has that prepper mentality SCJs have where He can't tell what things are most likely to happen and just continues to plan for the worst, although I see a lack of metaphysical SI. Huh. Well, I don't know. I mean, both ENTJs and ESTJs are going to be preppers to some extent. It was set December 2019. Huh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
That is.
Inferior NI makes your nut job too. Well, yeah, I was
In
thinking,
their own ways.
I went to the Flow State channel, and what's still at the top of his channel, like Penta's #1 video is host Eric is a narcissistic creep. And then there's another video attacking me. It's right up at the top of his thing. It's got like the most views of any of his videos. I mean, that's
You're
NI
helping
fourth.
him.
That's NI fourth. It's like somebody got in his ear and he believed her, and he put up those videos, and he since has backtracked from them 100% as far as I can tell. But it's pretty obvious I'm neither narcissistic nor creepy. But
That's so mean.
See, yeah, it's an FE attack.
And narcissism is such a topic nowadays. Everyone's narcissistic.
Right.
It's starting to lose its definition.
Well, yeah, everyone wants to use it as a way of critiquing people as an FE attack. I'm going to pathologize you or whatever. But, I mean, I'm obviously not remotely narcissistic. And I'm not creepy either.
No, you're not.
It's like, when I busted Becky's chops for her bullshit, it was because I was completely in the right to do so, frankly. And, in the ensuing conflagration of nonsense that happened, it just bore out what I was saying the whole time. It's like these people were attacking. I got a wonderful comment from Spacey that I think sums up the whole fucking thing. Eric tried to get by using technically telling the truth and twisting words around to mean things, which is his way of saying Eric's not lying, which is true. I was never lying or saying anything untrue about anything. And the fact that they didn't like the way it played means they said, well, I was twisting words, using technical truths. I mean, if that's the worst critique I can be leveled against me, that I'm using the truth and making people feel bad with it, then, Hey, Eric, you are selfish and a narcissist, so stop talking. All your ideas are morally repugnant, and I'm not even willing to talk to you about them, so they are bad. Right. Exactly. And it comes out in pretty clear ways when people do engage in what I would consider unacceptable behavior, at least, whether it's pathological or not. Like, there's the text that I refer to from Spacey's girlfriend where Rachel texted her, and in the exchange that occurred, she was basically saying, if you don't want to hear negative things about Eric, I don't want to talk to you.
I never forgot that happened.
Yeah, it's well, like I said, Ethan, we're going to address this multiple times now.
So ESTP.
We don't know what he is.
Can't. Yeah,
I don't know
you
what
have
you are,
to
Ethan.
get tested by Eric to actually find out.
I don't know if society is becoming more narcissistic overall.
No,
I don't tend to think so. I mean, look, any objective measure of society as a whole would show that on most vectors, things are more free and peaceful and open and individual supporting than they really have ever been before.
Yeah.
At least there's a pretty full metaphysical external field now.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Which is called the internet.
The kids. We're coming into such an introverted age. That's what I like to say it as, an introverted age. Because I mean, I look at kids now and like social media is something that they just grew up with, so they stayed in their house a little more. I mean, I don't know. It just is more of an introverted
I have met a few ESTPs, and they are more chill than ESFPs. Why is this? Because they care how they appear. ESFPs don't think how it plays really matters. If other people think less of them because they're hyper or whatever, they don't care. It doesn't matter because it's their authentic feelings that matter. But ESTPs want to play cool. So they're going to be more chill because they know they don't want to bug people. Eric, I'm wondering if TE is responsible for people deciding that what people are thinking is wrong and seek to correct it, getting frustrated about it and thinking that they're stupid. I mean, if you're a TE Dom, then that's your 5th slot TI. You value it. You don't like it when people are wrong. And I understand and respect that. I also don't like it when people are wrong, and I like to correct it. But the thing about it for you is your understanding of wrong and right is a lot more FI in it than mine. It's like, it just does.
Do you mind if I go outside and smoke some?
Yeah, let's wrap this up here.
We don't have to.
No, I was thinking, no. You're once again on the same page, Rachel. For example, I read someone's comment saying that they are not afraid of the male member, and the first thing I thought was that was not the point. I automatically classify them as an idiot. Okay, well, I mean, what you're saying there is that point either, well, I mean, what you were basically saying is that point strawmanned you. That was never what you were saying, and in responding to that thing, they're positioning it as what you were saying, and you don't like that. And it's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Additionally, the most important thing, though, when you say that's not the point, is it's not a determinant factor in the question, as far as you understand it, and it's not a relevant factor in the question, as far as you understand it. So any inclusion of it into the discussion is only going to muddy the discussion. But that's the nature of TI. TI believes in its own ability to if you throw mud at me, I have the ability to make it land on you. TI NE anyway thinks that. So it's not quite as scared of people trying to muddy shit. I'll make them pay, Whereas for you, it just makes you angry because it's not, anytime anybody tries to use ammunition against me, it blows up in their hands before they get it into their gun. It blows up in their face. They shoot it and they think it's going to hit me, and they realize it's aiming right at them actually. Because fuck no, But that's just my unique cognitive function stack ability. It's not something that an ENTJ is going to be able to instinctually do as well. So you're going to get a little bit more annoyed by this shit because it doesn't feel like an opportunity to lay the lumber. It feels like somebody muddying the water. If I knew my type for sure, I would lose the fun of reading about functions pertaining on different types. You wouldn't want to lose that fun. That sounds like a lot of fun. Being on the internet does not inherently make someone an introvert, but if you spend a lot of time on social media, you're more likely it makes you extroverted. You see social validation in that feed. It depends why and how you spend it, right?
Yeah.
So the correlates, that's the problem with correlates, is I can spend a lot of time on social media because I'm introverted and afraid to deal with people directly, or I can spend a lot of social media on social media because I'm extroverted and want to express myself a lot. That's me. I'm an extrovert who wants to spend a lot of time on social media. People who don't want to put their actual name out there, like you might say Winston's mom spends a lot of time on social media.
Right.
But she's always on someone else's live stream. That's more like
right. That's introvert. Exactly. They love chat rooms. They love like Pinterest. I don't know. See, like Tumblr's such an introverted land. I think I've learned so much about introverts on Tumblr.
Spending a lot of time on social media to pursue ideas instead of people is probably an introverted thing.
Yeah. Right. Like my ESFP cousin, she's like Gen Z. She was born in 2000, and she uses social media like TikTok. It's all like putting herself out there. But there are a lot. Hey, Dark Phoenix. There are a lot of kids who stay inside. There are a lot of kids who stay inside and just like talk.
Lyric Sense asks, do you believe in astrology or have you studied it, fellow HP? I have not studied it. Do I believe in it? That wouldn't be the right verb to use, but that's not to mean I'm not trying to diss it in rejecting that vote.
I think it's useful. I think it's useful. That's what I have come to found. I've had times where I only believed in it. I've had times where I didn't believe in it at all, and I like the in between. Because I've definitely had times where I've had both sides of the coin. I like balancing it. That's
we're
my
gonna
jam.
we're gonna wrap this one up. I'm sick. It's mainly the reason why we're gonna wrap it up. I'm sick of the dog, and I need to go downstairs, smoke some weed, and rest for a bit before I got to go judge a round this evening in JBLD. Yeah, that would help your IHP successfully do that.
Yeah, it's a good place for IHP. Aw, thanks, Ian.
Good.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Goodbye.
Oh, I wanted to say